Sananda, take your place. I am Sananda. And I come to be with you at this time, to continue helping you understand that all those things you have been waiting for no longer need to be waited for. You simply must learn to be. Learn to be who you are, and the deep power you hold within you, and let that power emerge more and more, in the sense that you are no longer part of the matrix, you are free from it. Free to attend to your Father's affairs, to the affairs of the Supreme God, free to enjoy life directly as you desire, without chains or constraints holding you back or binding you. For you are truly free, but it is important that you realize this, and in a sense, that you remember it, because all of you have already lived through similar situations, as you have heard said many times, like those who have overturned systems. You have all gone through situations like this, even these waiting situations you find yourselves in now. But now I tell you, wait no longer, be in the present, be in the moment, be in the love of the moment, in the gratitude of the moment, in the grace of the moment, because that is how you will find yourselves moving toward that new world of your creation, moving through the door, the dimensional door, moving through the ring beyond the no. The more you learn to let go, and allow God to act through you, the more you will realize you are continuing to progress in this transition you are experiencing. Think of everything as a transition, as you have heard so many times in a movie. But be no longer part of that movie, just be observers, watch it for what it is. If it is a film, if it is a play, anything, but do not be at the center of the discussion, be the observers, the neutral observers, and you will discover that, as you continue to live your life this way, everything will take its course. And everything depends on perception, on how you perceive things. The more truth can let go, and let things happen, and know that they are happening. Know that everything that is happening now is happening for a reason. It is happening by decree of the many councils that have gathered to decide how things would go. I speak now, yes, of the extraterrestrial councils, but also of the ascended masters, also of your higher self that gathers. It is all a process of inclusion, so let it be, let yourselves live, moment by moment, enjoy every moment you can. Be that joy, be that gratitude, be that grace. You will discover that, even before you realize it, since your perception will have shifted from the three-dimensional matrix, to the new creative world, to the new golden age, the time you previously waited for will no longer be a concern, you will simply be there, in that moment, and in the next, and in the one after that. I am Sananda, and now I leave you in peace, love, and unity. And may you continue to go through this transition, letting go of everything that held you back before. And take your place as the system gathers, as the way opens. And know that indeed, this is what you are. The Arcturian group, the era of change predicted for centuries. Dear readers, the Earth is undergoing a period of change that has been predicted for centuries, and has begun to manifest as personal completions and closures, ever higher understandings of life, the recognition and questioning of commonly accepted beliefs and actions based on separation, and a collective desire for a new and higher world. Today's chaos is the necessary labor to give birth to a new world consciousness based on love and unity, which is what every person, consciously or unconsciously, has sought, desired, and worked for in every lifetime. The high resonance energies flowing to Earth at this time are opening eyes, and helping people recognize and reject many beliefs that have long been part of the earthly belief system. Current times may seem like nothing but chaos and contempt for others, but they are necessary so that a sleeping majority can actually see, experience, and hopefully choose to free themselves from the hypnosis, domination, control, and misinformation that have long governed life on Earth. In general, human beings have always unreservedly accepted what was told to them by those considered more intelligent, holier, or in positions of power. The belief was, and continues to be, that the three-dimensional world is reality, that human beings are separate from God, and from each other, that some people are more worthy than others, that only human life has value, and that humans live one life, die, and then go to heaven or hell depending on God's decision. Earth is a real and perfect spiritual creation, but the way conditioned states of consciousness perceive it is an illusion. You are witnessing the revelation and collapse of many universally accepted concepts long considered absolute truths. More and more individuals are beginning to recognize that the creations of a collective belief in duality, separation, and the multiplicity of powers serve no one but a chosen few. Awakening to new levels of awareness does not mean a sudden desire to go to church or enter a monastery, but rather that previously closed inner doors are opening, allowing the ever-present light, hidden behind them, to flow into consciousness, and let higher frequencies flow. The spiritual practice of seeing beyond appearances simply means living with awareness of the spiritual realities underlying all material appearances, good or bad. Positive appearances are no more real than negative ones, simply because both are concepts of some divine reality. A beautiful, healthy rose is considered good, but when it withers and dies it is considered bad. In reality, it is neither. It is a spiritual idea in the mind of God expressing materially and subject to three-dimensional beliefs. Oneness is the absolute truth, and the virus in the three-dimensional belief system is the belief in separation. You are aware of those who create violence, abuse people and animals, dominate, and delight in power and control over others, and think there cannot be a single one. These people and their actions are repugnant to me. I could never be one with this person. Oneness has nothing to do with human individuality, but rather refers to the absolute truth of the single divine reality, soul, consciousness, and creative force that manifests as all that exists. Awareness of oneness with God automatically implies oneness with God, and with every divine idea. Every form of life is like a branch on an immense tree, and as long as the branch remains attached to the tree, it receives from it everything it needs without effort or difficulty. However, if that branch is cut off, regardless of how strong or healthy it is, it quickly withers and dies from lack of nourishment. The three-dimensional human condition is like that of a severed branch. Through ignorance, humanity has moved away from the tree of life that exists alive and well in every person, and then proceeds to question, plead, implore, and pray to a God who both gives and denies, blaming this God, other people, and external circumstances for lack, limitation, suffering, disease, and death. For centuries, humans have struggled to survive, suffocated by the weight of their own false creations, but reality cannot remain hidden forever in illusion, because reality is upheld by divine law, while illusion is not. The journey out of an obsolete state of consciousness requires the willingness to abandon many cherished concepts. Some, upon awakening to spiritual truth, attempt to fit it into their pre-existing three-dimensional belief system, unwilling to abandon the concepts and beliefs of a previous, less evolved state of consciousness. High frequencies cannot align with those of a lower frequency, nor adapt to a previous, less evolved state of consciousness. For anything, relationships, food, entertainment, friendships, spirituality, etc., to work, energetic alignment is necessary, because everything carries its own energy. This is the meaning of the saying birds of a feather flock together, and it is why the ongoing global and personal purifications of low resonance energies are necessary. Concepts of separation continue to thrive because, over time, they have become accepted social norms, often perceived as insignificant and harmless. Judgment, criticism, feelings of superiority, mocking others, etc., often seem like harmless group activities, because they create a sense of camaraderie and belonging. But in reality they are expressions of separation, and fuel this collective energy. Letting go of these activities does not mean turning a blind eye to what happens in the world, or letting yourself be trampled upon. As a spiritual being, you have the right to your preferences, choices, and opinions. Rather, it means observing the world with discernment, responding when you feel guided, expressing your truth, and even smiling occasionally at human weaknesses, but doing all of this from a position of spiritual awareness. Empowerment is an important aspect of the ascension process. Spiritual empowerment is a characteristic of every person, but lies latent in most who still do not know who they truly are. As a person evolves into conscious oneness with God, their innate spiritual sovereignty begins to manifest, allowing them to live without fear. As long as a person continues to believe they are just an insignificant, stupid, ugly, unlucky, victimized, sick, inadequate, controlled, ignorant, or worthless human being, they will continue to create situations that support, validate, and manifest these characteristics, because all human beings are creators. Recognize the what-ifs or I can't because that accompany fear, and see them for what they are, concepts, beliefs based on error. It takes courage and strength to go through the dark nights of the soul that begin to manifest when a person chooses to seek God and abandon a previous state of consciousness. It can be particularly difficult when friends, family, and society continue to support the beliefs the person is abandoning. Psalm 23 is a wonderful guide. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Him, not self-proclaimed religious leaders promoting man-made doctrines. Not political leaders or governments. Not family, friends, or experts, but him. The being who lies silently and secretly within every person, waiting to be recognized. We are the Arcturian group. Other realms of existence. There are 12 layers of density of consciousness. The 3 original realms are 4 aspects of the Creator. These create 9 additional layers of density. Higher numbers are subtler, broader in their scale, than lower numbers. Each lower density layer is more compressed than the one above it and forms within the higher one. Some call these realms dimensions, which can be confusing, as a dimension is actually something else. When referring to the 12 layers of density, or realms, the technically correct term is density. A dimension is not a location, or a higher realm. A dimension is a measurable component of reality, such as length, width, height, or time. A density is a layer of compressed consciousness. It is a location within creation. Instead of saying you live in the 3rd density, the physical realm, you can shorten it to 3D, provided you remember that, in this case, 3D is short for 3rd density, and not 3-dimensional. The ultimate state of the infinite being lies beyond the 12th density, as all densities are creations within its consciousness. The 12 layers of density exist within the consciousness of the infinite being, including the 3 active aspects of the Creator. The densities of immediate application for humanity are the 3rd, 4th, and 5th densities. 3D, the physical realm. The physical world exists in 3D, or 3rd density. Our minds, however, are not at all limited to 3D. Global consciousness will undergo a quantum shift when a critical mass of higher consciousness is reached. This critical mass will be reached by a numerically small portion of the world's population, because people with higher frequencies of consciousness have, proportionally, a much greater influence on the global mental atmosphere than those operating at lower frequencies of consciousness. As always, it will be the pioneers who change history. 40. The spiritual, or astral realm. Throughout recorded history, the 4th density has been the spiritual or astral realm. 40 can be divided into 12 sublevels or harmonics, referred to collectively as the spiritual or astral realms. When a person leaves their physical incarnation, they typically move into the 3rd or 4th harmonic of 4D. While physical experience can generate issues of emotional separation, 4D is an integrative density where people work to heal their wounds. Those on a spiritual quest soon discover that there are higher, subtler harmonics within 4D, and move there to study the higher truths of the universe. 5D, the soul realm. When the time comes to leave the 4-dimensional spiritual world, people move to the 5th dimension to begin planning the experiences they wish to have in their next incarnation. Think of this as a kind of destiny laboratory, where all possibilities are examined until, eventually, a decision is made on which course of action to take. In the 5th dimension, the soul's point of view is much broader than the focus point of view of the conscious mind in the 3rd dimension. In the 5th dimension, space and time are seen as an interwoven tapestry of possibilities. Souls, during their search, can actually insert themselves into any situation of interest to them, regardless of when and where. In 5D, you can experience any event in any place, and at any time. You can go back in time or project yourself into probable futures. You can visualize all possible outcomes of every potential situation and how it interacts with the probable actions of others. This works because your soul perceives the total energy of every situation, seeing everything that would happen if it were set in motion. So, in 5D consciousness, you can visualize exactly how a future event will likely materialize. You can see it, feel it, touch it, and know what your thoughts and feelings will be at that moment, because you actually insert your consciousness into the experience of the future event. Archangel Ariel, healing of the heart. Beloved one, all efforts and endeavors are exclusively about one thing, your vital relationship with God. Every circumstance can be overcome if God dwells in your heart, if faith in His guidance is constant, and if you live courageously accordingly. In this way, virtue is attained, and illumination is received. This is the truth of all truths. You and God are one. In practical terms, this means committing yourself daily to drawing closer to God. How is this possible? Through discernment, compassion, and trust. The ability to discern develops as soon as you have free access to your heart. Mercy is born as soon as your decisions are those of the heart. At the same time, trust and devotion grow. First and foremost, it is about healing your heart and having free access to your inner sanctuary. Do you know why the world is the way it is now, why there are so many harmful influences, and so much negativity? Because people's hearts are locked behind walls of pain, suffering, and fear. These people no longer have access to themselves and their divine nature, and therefore act inhumanely, coldly, and ruthlessly. Therefore, more than ever today, unveiling hearts is fundamental. You must get in touch with yourself and connect with your loving energy, and we will dedicate ourselves to this process with complete dedication later on. Now, therefore, you are invited to be ready so that God can break down the walls of fear and destroy your world of worries and doubts forever. In the name of the Almighty Creator, in the name of God, I now invite you to grant God access to your heart so that grace may flow, reach you, and transform you. Now ask God, with the following words, to re-establish a vibrant relationship between you and your heart. I ask God for the healing of my heart. I state your name here. Pray to God, come directly into my life. With boldness and full of trust, I wish to free myself from every negative influence. Burn my worries, doubts, and fears in the fire of your love, and let your light shine forever in my heart. I am the way, the truth, and the life. God is within me for all eternity. Your trust heals. You have entrusted yourself unconditionally, and without compromise to God's care, your trust will heal you completely. JJK, this wonderful passage from the Bible comes to mind. While they were on their way, the woman, who had suffered from severe bleeding for 12 years, came up behind Jesus, touched the edge of his cloak, and said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned, saw her, and said, "Do not be afraid. Your faith has saved you." At that very moment the woman was healed. Bible, Matthew 9:20-22. Archangel Ariel, in this innocent and pure trust, every healing is possible. You will become innocent and pure as children. And you will be as soon as you communicate with your heart, as soon as you live with your heart, and all your decisions are decisions of the heart. Today God has broken down the walls of fear and worry, ignorance and doubt. Now ensure that no new walls are erected, and that your being is not overcome by new fears or worries. Practice every day. Practice devotion to God every day, and, like a lion of God, fight only this battle. Remember the name of God, with every breath. With infinite love, Archangel Ariel. Thymus, the collective of ascended masters, let this transmission activate your Christ consciousness. Blessings. We are Thymus. We are the collective of ascended masters. We awaken in you what is already present. We activate the Christ consciousness in each of you, who is open. You must open yourselves to receive. You must relax into the activations given to you. and you must awaken your consciousness to who you truly are to begin living your lives as infinite, eternal beings, unconditional love by nature. Now, each of you chooses different paths. Each of you chooses different ways to be awakened. You choose different tools, different experiences, and different actions that will align you with the truth of who and what you truly are. Once you have achieved awakening, you will still have options. You can still make choices that affirm who and what you truly are, or deny the truth. You can live in the physical world and enjoy what exists without becoming trapped by it. And do not misunderstand what we are saying. We are not saying that anyone or anything outside of you is trapping you. You can trap yourselves by becoming so obsessed with one aspect of physical life that you consider it the sole reason for living. You take something outside of you and give it more value than what is inside you, and this is something some of you do for periods of your lives, and hopefully, one day you will realize that what was outside was simply making you more aware of what is inside. When you focus exclusively on something that seems to be the answer, or the only thing, you align with the truth of who you truly are, but not everyone realizes what is happening. And so, they become obsessed, worried, overly focused on something outside themselves. When you recognize that your feelings are telling you how aligned you are in any given moment, you can come to the awareness that it is that alignment you desire. It is the feeling that matters, and you can achieve it by turning inward, because you recognize that feeling is always present, it has always been there. It is always there, and it does not matter how you discovered it. Once you become aware of it, you can let go of anything that obsessed you, and you can still appreciate it, but you do not have to be attached to it. It is not the only way to be in tune with the truth of who you are as a source energy being. So let go, relax, and dive deeper into the love you feel, into the joy and peace you are. You will discover that you are infinite beings with infinite inner dimensions to explore. And typically, that is when you begin to live your lives with the truth of who and what you truly are at the forefront of your consciousness, instead of keeping it very deep within, waiting to be awakened. So, again, we can help you discover what is within you, but we are not the key to reaching that state. You are, and so are the choices you will make going forward. We hope to inspire you to dive more often into the depths of your being, but we know that even if you do not, in the end, all will be well, because you are infinite and eternal beings of love and light. That is all for now. We are Thymus. We are the collective of ascended masters, and we are always among you.